Well, hello everyone, and you join us here today with a brand new release that we've just discovered. Tom, I know you are a fan of not spending a whole lot of money on your watches. Is that a fact?
Absolutely.
Well, that's good, because I've got a watch here that might tickle your pickle. I know normally if I talk about expensive watches, you start looking out the window, so grab your peepers and focus on this. Do you remember Furlan Marry?
Of course, yeah. Nice little up-and-coming micro brand. But don't call them watches, Andrew. They're ephemeral references, please. Have they got a new story coming out?
They do. Well, yeah. For our viewers and listeners, if you don't remember, Furlan Marry created a lineup of 4 Mecha Quartz chronographs inspired by a 1930s Patek Philippe. And we were particularly impressed by something that I very much am a fan of, with the proportions. They managed to do a vintage replica watch that just absolutely nailed all the proportions. Lovely domed crystal, beautiful case, engraved pushers, lovely twin subdials, really nice finishing on the hands and dial, all that kind of juicy stuff. As Tom, you said, they didn't present them as watches, they presented them as, what was it called? Ephemeral air biscuits.
Yeah.
So that fluff aside, actually the products were really nice, but there was a big complaint. While they were affordable at 500 odd quid, they were packing a Seiko Mecha Quartz movement. So feels like a mechanical, runs like a quartz, a little bit of a letdown for some people who wanted to see mechanical Swiss to complete that package.
Some people are interested by what's actually going on inside the watch. Not me so much. I'm all about the face. If it's all going on the dial, take my pile of cash.
I'm glad it was of cash. Tom is a very superficial guy. He's the kind of person who wears off-white Nike branded trainers and has a Supreme axe as well. Just doesn't have any need for it. Just says Supreme, so he bought it.
Yep. I like to cosplay as a baseball umpire from the neck up and as a professional basketball player from the ankle down at all times.
Well, Tom, boy, have I got some good news for you, because Furlan Marry are back. They've done another one.
Whoopee!
The end of the line of the Mecha Quartz, all sold out, you can't buy one, gives way to the new Trois Aiguilles. You know what that means? You should know what this means.
Yes, that's 3. Mm-hmm. Trois aiguilles. Oh, that's 3 hands. 3 hands.
Yeah, so from Aiguille d'Or, we also have, that's the golden hand, isn't it? The award that gets handed out.
Brilliant.
To people who have done good watchmaking. And in fact, Furlan Marry was a recipient of the golden hand. Their new watch is called the 3 Hands.
Nice. Why is that?
Do you care to hazard a guess as to why?
It's got 3 hands.
It does, yeah. So this is not a chronograph. This time we have a simple 3-hander watch. But like the previous Mecha Quartz, Furlan Marry have gone down the route of being inspired by vintage design. So I'm gonna list out a few specs for you, Tom, and I'm gonna see if I've got you on board.
Sure, go on.
The 3 Hands, Trois Aiguilles. Here we go. 37.5 millimeters in diameter.
Good.
Good start, good start. 10.5 millimeters thick.
Ooh, lovely, yep.
Black sector dial with silver Breguet numerals.
Looks good.
Corne de vache.
Lugs of horn.
Indeed. The movement inside, it's not from Seiko. It's not Mecha Quartz. It is a Swiss mechanical.
That's the kind I like.
£1,041.
F*** you. Okay, no, that's all right, actually. That's okay. That looks like it's priced about right, because this watch it's a looker, isn't it?
It is a bit tasty. You're taking a lot of inspiration here again from the 1930s, the sector dial, the Breguet numerals, the Vacheron style Corne de Vache lugs. It is a smorgasbord of litigation compiled into one, I would say, almost perfect design.
Yeah, where the previous Mecha Quartz story was punching up against Patek Philippe, which it had no right to do really for the price. This is doing the same thing. And yeah, those horn lugs, they're going toe to toe with the Vacheron, and the dial, a lot more readable, a lot more elegant. It's done away with those chronograph subdials, and it's really, really nicely laid out. Yeah, this looks so good.
As I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of proportions, and this is what Furlan Marry has done again. In terms of quality, if they're anything close to where they were before, that's going to be very impressive. But just the thickness of the crown, the little dome on the end, the way those lugs sit and have the shaved, brushed sides, the size of the numerals, the spacing. Hands might be a little bit short, but I think that's typical of a sector dial. Overall, it's very, very hard to fault and really feels like a watch that has been in a drawer for 100 years, that someone's pulled out and gone, oh, hello, this is a Vacheron that no one knew existed.
Yeah, it's extraordinary, really. They've done it again, and what I really love about it is it looks like it's taking all these design elements from classic watches, but it looks like a Furlan Marry. They're sort of carrying on their design style. They're sort of creating their own language, and they're getting their own identity, and that's really good to see as well.
It certainly today doesn't really have any rivals in this style, this side of many tens of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Do you care to guess, because the previous Mecha Quartz was a limited run, do you care to guess how many of these they'll be making?
Right, okay. You're going to rain on my parade. I don't know, 10?
No, because good news, everybody. It seems to be unlimited. They're talking about potential collections of thousands and tens of thousands, depending on how many people initially pre-order.
Excellent.
So we could see this as a purchase that you don't have to miss out on.
They do have a policy of retiring watches, though, don't they? So is this going to be a limited? There's going to be a limited window to purchase this. Have we got to get in there?
I don't know. I certainly hope not. It's hard to argue with the fact that as a business, it makes a lot of sense making limited run pieces, because then there's more hype, there's more residual value. I sincerely hope not, but we'll see. We'll see. From what I can see so far, there isn't going to be any kind of cap on production. But I don't know about time. To talk about the actual production of the watch, the Corne de Vache, specifically the cow horn lugs, those are very, very difficult to do. Typically, they're usually soldered onto the case very, very carefully and sculpted against it. In this case, Furlan Marry have been very clever. They have attached the lugs to an additional piece that's then slotted into the side of the case to give the impression of being soldered on. Now, that may not be the traditional way of doing it, but if it means you can get what is a very complicated piece of case styling for around £1,000, fair play.
And they just really make the watch for me as well. The dial's great, but those lugs just look so good. They look like these little teardrops of shiny steel, and polished on top and brushed on the side. Yeah, really, really nice form factor.
And little details I see, like the applied markers for 12, 3, 6 and 9. The second hand is capped. You don't get that hole in the middle. You've got that little break in the sector to see the reference number of 2116A. It feels very, very considered.
So yeah, as Furlan Marry say, details no matter what, which translate to me as everything stupid.
It really does feel like that. It really does feel like they've sat down and gone, well, if we're going to make a nice watch, we need to think about all of it. And that's what they've done.
Yeah.
It's just even more small bits like the stepped bezel with the polished edge, which has been produced separately and attached separately, so you can get that crisp edge of the finishing. And we haven't even talked about the movement, because not only is it Swiss and mechanical, this is a La Joux-Perret. And if you don't know, La Joux-Perret are owned by Citizen and make the movements for Arnold & Son.
Oh, cool.
Very expensive, very high end. You get 68 hours of power reserve, a tungsten rotor for extra weight, heat blued screwed, Cote de Genève, plus minus 7 seconds per day, which is okay. Unfortunately, there is no sapphire caseback through which to see it through, which is kind of a shame, but I'll take it.
In the absence of that, they seem to have really gone to town with the inside of the caseback, and it's got some nice perlage finishing there, so yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
But again, you won't be able to see it, but it's nice to know it's there.
Yeah.
And maybe you can screw it off if you get your nan to do it, 'cause she's good at jars. She might be able to get the back off so you can have a look.
It'll only cost you 3 pair drops. So I really think and feel this is a step up for Furlan Marry. Their first batch of stuff was like, okay, interesting, I see what you're doing. I have some questions, but this one feels like a step in the right direction for a brand that is doing affordable quality watchmaking. I'm very keen to see one for reals. This is one I would definitely like to get my hands on. So Furlan Marry, if you're listening, whiz us one this way. I'll happily give it a look and a feel and let you know what we think.
Yeah, it feels like they could dine out on this for a long time if they, keep this in production, keep getting these out there. They could do different colorways, get a blue one out there. God. Because that's all you need, isn't it? You only need one hit.
Yeah.
Look at AP.
Furlan Marry, I think as well, the combination of what you've done here with the extra steps, with a hand-wound mechanical chronograph, and I think you're going to take my money. I guess we'll see.
You're never going to... You wouldn't... £1,000 of your own money? Who are you kidding? You wouldn't spend that much money.
Well, we'll see. While I'm thinking about that, and while I take Tom to one side and have a stern word with him for ridiculing me live on air, we will see you next time. If you're enjoying these episodes, please do give us a subscribe. It really, really does help. And thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.